Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 32 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Lord Luohe and the Master of the Heart Shadow sect fought a great battle more than 10 days ago. In a wilderness outside Huyang City, two figures appeared out of thin air. We've arrived, the two of them confirmed their bearings and after only a few steps, found the military camp town of the Marquis of Zhujiang through traversing the void. Commander Jiang Yuyo had been waiting outside the encampment. Two divine lords, you have finally arrived. The Marquis has been awaiting you, Jiang Yuyo greeted them proactively while also observing the two figures. One of these figures was the horned man, Great General Yonghu, who had recently visited, while the other was a thin man clad in a loose robe, whose fame in Yu Kingdom far surpassed that of Yonghu. Jiang Yuyo looked at the thin man with respect. Please lead the way, Commander Jiang, the thin man said with a smile. To guide General Yu and General Yong is my honor, Jiang Yuyo said, leading the two to meet the Marquis. Within the main building of the Marquis of Zhujiang's residence in the military camp town. The Marquis of Zhujiang sat leisurely, observing the two figures approaching. Marquis, General Yu and General Yong have arrived, Jiang Yuyo respectfully announced. After these two figures entered and noticed the Marquis of Zhujiang, they too showed immense respect and bowed. We pay our respects to the Marquis. The two had long followed a godly king, and clearly understood that the godly king and primal chaos overlords were the higher beings of this world. Even the godly king showed certain respects to these primal chaos overlords. Being in a cooperative relationship, the Marquis of Zhujiang and his allies aimed to gain opportunities from the godly king, and hence had to make their own contributions. If the primal chaos overlords acted as subordinates, devotedly following the godly king, they would receive substantial support from him. No matter what, the primal chaos overlords are much more esteemed than us eternal true gods. General Yong had long aspired to reach the primal chaos realm, but still fell short in terms of accumulation. Please have a seat, the Marquis of Zhujiang watched them with a smile. This time, with the support from both of you in the conflict against the forces of Marquis Liu Yin, things will be much easier. It's mainly thanks to Brother Yu, I'm just helping out, General Yong remarked. General Yong was very willing to participate in the struggles across various primal chaos prefectures, which also served as a good method for accumulating resources. His junior brother, General Yu, was quite difficult to request because he didn't lack resources. The monarch of Yu country would proactively bestow resources on him. I still need elder brother to support me, the thin man said with a smile. By the way, Marquis, you mentioned another formidable ally, known as Luohe. I have already dispatched Yuyo to invite him. He should be arriving soon, the Marquis of Zhujiang replied. The Marquis of Zhujiang was very courteous. To Luohe, General Yong, and General Yu, the Marquis of Zhujiang valued Luohe and General Yu the most. Both Yuewu and Luohe are likely candidates for the primal chaos realm. The Marquis of Zhujiang was aware that these two might be stuck at a bottleneck for a long time, yet in the future, they should exist on the same level as himself. General Yuewu and General Yonghu. Luo Feng, accompanied by Morosa, attended the banquet. General Yuewu is now the strongest eternal true god openly known in Yu Kingdom, Jiang Yuyo explained. Most remarkably, General Yuewu's godly body is quite ordinary. His cultivation is in the law lineage. With just an ordinary godly body, coupled with unimaginably profound accumulation in his realm, he even surpasses General Yonghu and others. General Yuewu is extremely proficient in formations. Once a formation is set, any eternal true god who enters it would likely be unable to escape, Jiang Yuyo said. In Yu Kingdom, the top formation master below the primal chaos realm is General Yuewu, Jiang Yuyo said admiringly. The Marquis said that with General Yuewu's accumulations, he is almost certain to reach the primal chaos realm. Luo Feng listened in admiration. The land of origin was vast, indeed hosting many astonishing beings. General Yuewu, like Shui Yun, also possessed an ordinary godly body, yet General Yuewu's strength was even more formidable, highly esteemed by the godly kings. To become the strongest eternal true god in Yu Kingdom without unlimited godly bodies is impressive, Morosa also praised. Jiang Yuyo looked at Luo Feng and smiled. That is only in Yu Kingdom. If it were in the two ancient countries, the most dazzling eternal true gods are definitely those with unlimited godly bodies. The most radiant eternal true gods across the entire land of origin had no shortcomings. Like Luo Feng, who even surpassed historical limits. His godly body and spiritual will were both extraordinary. Initially, when the Lai Yuan technique spread among many major powers of the land of origin, only Luo Feng managed to master it, which was quite revealing. With his godly body and spiritual will both surpassing historical limits, the mountain-sitting guest, knowing this, felt hopeful for revenge. Marquis Luo Feng and his servant entered the building. "Take a seat," the Marquis of Zhujiang introduced warmly. Luo He and his servant have directly confronted the Heart Shadow sect within Huyang City. Even with the Heart Shadow sect's all-out efforts, they could not overcome Luo He and his servant. The information about Lord Luo He in Huyang City had already spread throughout Yu Kingdom. The thin General Yu marveled, an eternal true god possessing the primal chaos pinnacle will, impressive. Having such spiritual will, Lord Luo He must have undergone extraordinary experiences. Luo Feng smiled. Creatures from the primordial cosmos, starting from the very bottom and climbing step by step, found achieving immortality incredibly difficult. In a whole era of reincarnation within the primordial cosmos, those who became true gods were few. Thus, every true god emerging from the primordial cosmos, in terms of spiritual will, far surpassed the true gods of the land of origin. As for Luo Feng, he was the most dazzling existence through many eras of reincarnation in his home, the primordial cosmos. General Yu's formations are unbreakable by anyone below the primal chaos realm. "I truly admire that," Luo Feng stated. "Divine Lord, we meet again," General Yong Hu greeted warmly. "General Yong," Luo Feng nodded with a smile. Sitting at the head, the Marquis of Zhujiang spoke, "With General Yu and General Yong here, we just need to practice the formation a bit more and, once fully prepared, we can make our move." "We will follow the Marquis's orders," declared General Yu, General Yong, and servants of Luo Feng. A vast formation spreading mists of water covered a broad area. General Yuewu sat at the center of the formation, surrounded by 6 puppet creatures, controlling the entire formation. At the forefront of the formation, Luo Feng and Morosa stood, feeling surrounded by endless streams, the might terrifying. "Lord Luo He, you and your servants are the strongest. When you encounter strong enemies, it will be up to you and your servants to deal with them." Yuewu's gentle voice resonated in Luo Feng and Morosa's ears. "Rest assured," Luo Feng nodded. Having received 100 million cosmic sand, he of course had to do enough work. "Senior brother Yong, if you encounter some troublesome opponents, you'll need to entangle them," Yuewu transmitted his voice. "All right." General Yong nodded, possessing unlimited godly bodies and an inheritance at the godly king level. Although he couldn't handle Shui Yun, whether it was burst power or the toughness of his godly body, he surpassed Shui Yun. In terms of realm, he had also discerned several primal chaos realm techniques, albeit rougher than those of Shui Yun. The unlimited godly body allowed him to withstand many dangers, making General Yong willing to accept employment from all quarters. He had no choice, the resources bestowed by the godly king were limited, he needed to strive on his own. "Generals and commanders, when the time comes, you just need to act as I command, and we shall start with 6 simple cooperation drills," Yuewu transmitted to the more than 3,000 eternal true gods within the formation. This time, the Marquis of Zhujiang had mobilized over 95% of the eternal true gods from the entire Zhujiang Primal Chaos Prefecture. This battle, they must win. Not only had he deployed a divine power incarnation, but his true body had also arrived, because even if defeated, he had to protect these eternal true gods under his command. Yes, the more than 3,000 eternal true gods commanded their armies, forming several super-large mechanical secret treasures. Although originally disorganized, within Yuewu's formation, their powers naturally cooperated. The combined power of the many mechanical secret treasures was terrifying, greatly boosting the confidence of the eternal true gods. Impressive. Luo Feng also saw the prowess of an array master. "This array master is worth it." From within the military camp, Marquis of Zhujiang nodded as he watched the scene from a distance. An array master can double the strength of an entire army, at the very least. The array master had cost 60 million cosmic sand. great General Yong, who had cost 20 million cosmic sand. Lord Luo He was the most expensive. Lord Luo He can deter many eternal true gods of the opposing side. Marquis of Zhujiang was well aware of the advantages a terrifying vanguard that was invincible on the battlefield brought. This battle, I must win. Marquis of Zhujiang was confident, then immediately winced with a headache, but this time, I've spent a total of 180 million cosmic sand, while Marquis Liu Yin hasn't contributed anything, probably just a promise. Marquis Liu Yin had promised the Heart Shadow sect, but if defeated, Marquis Liu Yin still wouldn't need to pay anything. A mere empty promise had the Heart Shadow sect fighting a deadly battle. I've held off this time, but what about next time? Marquis of Zhujiang was also considering the future. With two adjacent fiefs, Marquis Liu Yin wouldn't easily give up. Having an array master made the drilling easy, patiently conducted for 3 days, Marquis of Zhujiang also felt thoroughly prepared. Gentlemen, once we breach the Heart Shadow sect and recapture Huyang City, I will celebrate for you all. Marquis of Zhujiang looked at the densely packed over 3,000 eternal true gods in front of him, with General Yu, General Yong, and servants Luo Feng clearly standing in the front row. Now, set out. The many eternal true gods all flew into a large flying boat. Boom! The large flying boat had already traversed the void. In just a few traverses, the large flying boat was already above Huyang City. It was very precisely over the city owner's mansion, just separated by a dark formation. The sudden appearance of the large flying boat immediately caused a stir among the many disciples of the Heart Shadow sect within the city. Not good. The army of Marquis Zhujiang. They've come. Some disciples scattered throughout the city were somewhat panicked. High in the sky, the more than 3,000 eternal true gods in the large flying boat also observed some of the conditions within Huyang City, seeing some scattered Heart Shadow sect disciples. They hadn't worried about the scattered Heart Shadow sect disciples due to detailed pre-battle planning. The scattered disciples outside are common disciples of the Heart Shadow sect, responsible for controlling this city. They are also bait, attracting the army of Marquis Zhujiang to attack. Luo Feng watched. Attack! Along with Yuewu's command, billowing mist instantly enveloped the sky, the large flying boat vanished, and Luo Feng and others naturally were within the formation. Rumble tilde tilde tilde. The gargantuan water mist formation suddenly burst into flames, like an immense fireball, violently slamming into the dark formation. The dark formation covering Huyang City was instantly torn apart. The super-gigantic fireball, spanning billions of kilometers, directly headed for the city owner's mansion. Here it comes. In the Primal Chaos Armor sector, the master of the Heart Shadow sect and 18 divine power incarnations of the Elders gathered, looking up at this scene with cold eyes. For the root ground of their sect, they must win this battle. The army under Marquis of Zhujiang, led by Yuewu, resembled a super-large fireball rolling down, with Luo Feng and his servant standing at the forefront of the giant fireball. It is indeed formidable, Luo Feng observed the countless flames around him. This was the power of thousands of eternal true gods summoned by the formation. A formation can combine the power of numerous eternal true gods, even leading to a qualitative change. However, such large-scale military formations only exist at the stage of eternal true gods. Luo Feng realized this fact. A large group of primal chaos overlords forming a formation? That was impossible. After all, there were not many primal chaos overlords throughout the whole land of origin. In a second-tier nation like Yu Kingdom, there were only dozens of individuals in the primal chaos realm, and they were almost all scattered around different places. Those in the primal chaos realm cherished their freedom. After all, cultivating for eons to become a ruler of a territory was not about serving others. Even if they were willing to follow a godly king, it required the king to bestow substantial resources. It was already remarkable to have several primal chaos realm individuals arrange a formation together. HM? Luo Feng suddenly gasped in surprise and looked down. There was a series of explosions below. The Primal Chaos Armor sector had long been equipped with the Dark Prison World Array. As soon as Marquis of Zhujiang's army invaded, this grand formation emerged. Once it appeared, numerous cyan chains came binding from all directions. The supergiant fireball, with its flames raging fiercely on the surface, crushed some of the chains upon collision. But more cyan chains emerged from the void, entangling this massive fireball from all directions. Gentlemen, this is the Dark Prison World Array from the Heart Shadow sect. Given their current strength, they can probably only set up the Dark Prison World Array and Great Destruction Ultimate Formation. Yuewu sat calmly at the center of the formation, her voice spreading throughout every eternal true god in the military formation. Combined, these are their strongest tactical measures in formations. We don't need to clash head-on. As long as we avoid their main attacks and reach the city owner's mansion, that will suffice. The supergiant fireball spun, resisting the numerous giant cyan chains while also moving closer to the city owner's mansion. Inside the city owner's mansion, the leaders of the 5 great families and eternal true gods, including Moli Feiyun, Jiarong Qi, and Mo Yuhu, were all looking up at this terrifying confrontation. Crush them! As the supergiant fireball was resisting the chains, a grand formation with roiling dark clouds suddenly appeared. It was the Great Destruction Ultimate Formation. Fog swirled, making it difficult to see the inside of the formation. Boom tilde tilde tilde. The huge cloud mass collided with the supergiant fireball, causing countless flames to scatter, the chains shattering and then reconstituting, continuing to bind it. Break! At the forefront of the supergiant fireball, Luo Feng, now towering in stature, ferociously sliced through the air with his blade, targeting the Great Destruction Ultimate Formation in front of him. As he made this cut, General Yuewu naturally coordinated, with countless flames following the blade light. A massive supergiant flame blade light struck, shaking the Great Destruction Ultimate Formation, causing many arranging eternal true gods to feel soul pain. It's Luo He. Luo He leads the army formation. Everyone be careful. Inside the Great Destruction Ultimate Formation, there were also many super-large mechanical secret treasures hidden, ready to strike at any moment. But knowing Luo Feng was leading, they dared not charge. Heart Devil Kite and Demon General of Heart Shadow, I leave them to you, the master of the Heart Shadow sect ordered. Yes. A black flying bird and a black humanoid figure simultaneously launched an attack from within the hidden formation, the Heart Devil Kite, controlled by Elder Heart Eye, and the Demon General of Heart Shadow, controlled by Qiu Yi. Junior brother Qiu Yi, Luo his spiritual will is terrifying. Do not think of attacking actively, just defend with all your might, Elder Heart Eye communicated through sound transmission. Within the sect protecting treasures, the Demon General of Heart Shadow was somewhat stronger than the Heart Devil Kite. Elder Heart Eye was surprised that a disciple could control the Demon General of Heart Shadow. Don't worry, senior brother, Qiu Yi was equally confident. HM? 2 sect protecting treasures? Luo Feng was quite startled. His towering stature was comparable to these 2 sect protecting treasures, and he immediately struck with 2 heart-honing blades. 2 dazzling blade lights emerged, each containing a blade-sharp spiritual will. Elder Heart Eye, leading his subordinate eternal true gods and true gods of void space, combined their spiritual wills through the Heart Devil Kite, matching the top standards of the Primal Chaos realm. The spiritual will they displayed was not much different from Luo Feng's exposed pinnacle will of Primal Chaos. If the spiritual will was solely dedicated to defense, Luo Feng's will might be slightly suppressed at most, with minimal impact on his strength. The last time was so dire because the Heart Devil Kite spiritual will had rushed into Luo Feng's godly body, attacking actively. It was like an egg smashing against a mountain. All members of the Heart Devil Kite suffered severe damage to their spiritual will, which is why they fled desperately. But now, with the spiritual will restored and focused solely on defense, they were not afraid. Rumble tilde tilde tilde. The Heart Devil Kite and the Demon General of Heart Shadow also had the support of the Great Destruction Ultimate Formation. Luo Feng's techniques were also bolstered by the military formation, with his blade technique being either wildly fierce, silent, abyssal, or leveraging force. The Heart Devil Kite didn't show its strength last time, but this time I got to see it, Luo Feng's fighting spirit sword. He hadn't been able to fight freely during his 5 eras of cultivation. Now that he was fighting heartily, he treated his opponents as whetstones to test the many techniques he had developed. Brother Luo He, just focus on defense. Our goal is to reach the city owner's mansion as quickly as possible, Yuewu communicated through sound transmission. Rest assured, Luo Feng responded. Yue Wu was very satisfied with the vanguard general of the army, Lord Luo He. His individual strength and spiritual will were extremely powerful, making it hard for the Heart Shadow sect to break through their formation from within. Yue Wu suddenly exclaimed in surprise. Luo Feng was equally astonished. They both noticed a super-large flying boat, its surface swirling with countless formation lights, its might so imposing that just seeing it sent chills down Luo Feng's spine. At this moment, the super-large flying boat was charging forward, creating numerous space cracks in its path. Crush them, commanded the three-eyed man Feng Yuqi from inside the super-large flying boat. The flying boat was manned by more than 500 eternal true God disciples, jointly steering it. This super-large flying boat's terrifying might was evident, as Luo Feng, towering and formidable, stood at the forefront of the entire Marquis of Zhujiang's army formation, facing the collision of the super-large flying boat. Where did this come from? Luo Feng, eyeing the terrifying flying boat, immediately recalled the intelligence regarding the military of the two ancient countries. This is a military ship from the Flame Wind ancient country. The military of the Flame Wind ancient country, with their mechanical treasures and ships, far surpassed other divine kingdoms. Moreover, Flame Wind ancient country allowed foreign transactions, though the prices were exorbitantly high. This ship, based on the intelligence Luo Feng had, required a whopping 500 billion cosmic sand. It likely needed several hundred eternal true gods to drive it, each operating apart. This was much more terrifying than many formations. Within the territory of Flame Wind ancient country, ordinary troubles and dangers warranted the dispatch of one warship to suppress them. A single warship could sweep through any individual below the Primal Chaos Realm. Only if faced with greater trouble would the Primal Chaos Realm intervene. This is a warship of the Flame Wind ancient country, a moving terrifying great formation, its might even greater than the Great Destruction ultimate formation. Do not withstand it head-on. Yue Wu's voice broadcasted throughout the army formation as it transformed, the originally super-large fireball instantly turning into super-large water currents. These endless water currents flowed and changed shape formlessly. Previously, Luo Feng was engaged in combat with the Heart Devil Kite and the Divine General of Heart Shadow, but with the flowing water, he instantly pulled away. The massive warship fiercely collided, but the army's water currents were unpredictable, avoiding its sharp edges, making it impossible for the gigantic warship to touch the water. This, the master of the Heart Shadow sect exclaimed in anger. If this warship were in Yue Wu's hands, it would likely be manipulated with much more finesse. But under the control of the Heart Shadow sect, it just blindly rushed forward, unable to stop the slick army water currents. Boom, boom, boom tilde tilde tilde. Instead, it was more suited for the sect's grand formations like Dark Prison World Array and Great Destruction Ultimate Formation that could continually hinder and influence, but the army water currents were unwilling to engage, constantly evading smoothly. Phew. It seemed like a long time, but it was just a matter of seconds. The army water currents had already surged into the city owner's mansion. Excellent. Outside the city, the silver-haired Marquis of Zhujiang watched this scene with great joy. Yue Wu is indeed the top array master below the primal chaos realm of our Yu kingdom. He maneuvers the army formation much more exquisitely than the Heart Shadow sect. They've finally entered the city owner's mansion. Once inside the city owner's mansion, they can control Huyang City and utilize the city. The odds of winning are much greater, thought Marquis of Zhujiang. Marquis Liu Yin, clad in dark red armor, frowned as he watched this scene. Inside the formation are over 3,000 eternal true gods, and there are extremely powerful eternal true gods like Lord Luohi and Yonghu. With Yue Wu leading the formation, the Heart Shadow sect can't stop them. This time they are focused on escaping into the city owner's mansion. But focusing solely on escaping won't lead to victory. Eventually, a direct confrontation is required, Marquis Liu Yin observed. The Heart Shadow sect may lose many, and I don't care, but Marquis of Zhujiang, if your troops suffer heavy casualties, what will you do then? Emperor Chu Yu of the Flame Wind Pavilion and the Deputy Pavilion Master were also leisurely watching the battle. Yue Wu of the Yu Kingdom indeed possesses high prowess in formation technique, Emperor Chu Yu observed from afar. Among our eternal true gods of Flame Wind ancient country, It's rare to find such strong expertise in formations. Even the fringe nations can produce some talented and strong individuals, the Deputy Pavilion Master remarked. Emperor Chu Yu shook his head. This warship, however, is a military ship from our flame-wind ancient country. Despite its intricate formations and immense power, in the hands of the Heart Shadow sect, it's quite foolish, capable only of reckless charging. In the Heart Shadow sect, only the leaders who control the Heart Devil Kite and the Demon General of Heart Shadow are adequate, the rest are insignificant, the Deputy Pavilion Master commented. But behind the Heart Shadow sect is Marquis Liu Yin, and I know his temperament well. Since he has decided to start a great war, this battle, for Marquis of Zhujiang, will be hard to win. Even coming from the imperial clan of the Flame-Wind ancient country, they both held considerable wariness towards this Marquis Liu Yin. Marquis Liu Yin, by realm accumulation alone, was a being close to touching the threshold of godly king. Marquis Liu Yin is not to be trifled with, Emperor Chu Yu observed. Unless there's a special circumstance, Marquis of Zhujiang will most likely lose. The Deputy Pavilion Master agreed. They had traveled across many states of the land of origin and, well-versed and experienced, had long understood the essence of the conflict between the two primal chaos prefectures. It was a struggle between two primal chaos figures behind the scenes. Marquis Liu Yin had only dispatched a hired Heart Shadow sect so far, his own forces yet to move, and already forced Marquis of Zhujiang to pay dearly to garner support from various strong individuals. Huyang City, as the center of the entire fortress, resembled a miniature city itself. It occupied a vast area, far exceeding any cave mansion, and at this moment, it was heavily guarded, with colorful and flowing formations protecting the city owner's mansion. Even if the Heart Shadow sect intended to invade the city owner's mansion, there would be some casualties. They've arrived. On the city owner's mansion side, the leaders of the 5 great families, numerous eternal true gods, and a myriad of true gods of void space all looked up excitedly, watching as the vast, flowing army formation of the Marquis of Zhujiang surged into the city owner's mansion. The city owner's mansion naturally did not obstruct, allowing the army formation to enter. The army formation, including General Yuewu, General Yonghu, numerous mechanical stream secret treasures, and a host of eternal true gods, all appeared, with Luo Feng and Morosa among them. Lord Luo He, General Yu, General Yong, the Lord of Huyang City and the leaders of the 5 great families greeted them respectfully. Starting from now, the entire city owner's mansion is under my control, General Yuewu said. The Marquis had already instructed, and I will lead the way, the Lord of Huyang City replied with utmost respect. No need, Senior Brother Yong, follow me. Yuewu and Yonghu instantly turned into 2 streaks of light, entering the depths beneath the city owner's mansion. When he accepted the invitation from the Marquis of Zhujiang, the Marquis had already handed over all the recorded formation diagrams of Huyang City to Yuewu. As a direct disciple of the monarch of Yu country and a potential being of the primal chaos realm, the Marquis of Zhujiang had no worries that Yuewu would leak the formation diagrams. Thus, Yuewu had studied the formation diagrams in advance and had already grasped about 70 to 80% of the Huyang City formation map. He could sense and inspect how to take control immediately. Just a few moments passed. Buzz. Above the city owner's mansion, the previously colorful and flowing formations suddenly turned chaotic, with a significantly more terrifying might. I need to familiarize myself with Huyang City. If the Heart Shadow sect launches a full-scale attack, the rest of you just need to defend, General Yuewu transmitted to the numerous eternal true gods. Then he specifically transmitted to Luo Feng, Brother Luo He, the city owner's mansion is now more secure. Under normal circumstances, the Heart Shadow sect could not possibly break through. But should any special factors arise, it will be up to Brother Luo He to resist. Below the primal chaos realm, none shall break through the city owner's mansion, Luo Feng transmitted back. Ha ha, good. Yuewu then devoted himself to familiarizing himself with the many formations of Huyang City. What he had previously understood were the diagrams, but now he was actually in control. Once Yuewu took over, he discovered that the large city of Huyang, through generations of modifications, with many overlapping formations, had already become a tangled mess. Even he had to ponder how to wield the might of Huyang City. Inside the city owner's mansion, the many cultivators who had been worried and frightened all this while breathed a sigh of relief now. Sigh? Divine Monarch, Moyu, who saw Luo Feng and Morosa approaching and immediately saluted, "Thank Lord for rescuing us. The Moyu family is all within my spatial secret treasure. Would you like to see them?" Luo Feng asked. "I would be most grateful," Moyu Hu responded immediately. Luo Feng nodded and waved, taking Moyu Hu away. Meanwhile, Moli Feiyun, Jerome Qi, Gao Wu Shui, and others were also watching this place. When Jerome Qi saw Luo Feng's gaze sweeping over, she immediately saluted. Luo Feng nodded slightly. He and this Jerome Qi also had some connections. "Morosa, you help keep an eye on the Heart Shadow sect. If any danger arises, notify me immediately," Luo Feng transmitted mentally, knowing that as a primal chaos overlord, Morosa's observatory capabilities were stronger than his own. "Don't worry, Master," Morosa immediately responded. Sigh? Luo Feng, along with Morosa, swiftly moved to a spot on the city walls and calmly observed the outside. "That's Lord Luo He. The 13 sect-protecting treasures of the Heart Shadow sect are widely renowned. Any one of these treasures is nearly invincible below the primal chaos realm. Yet, even the combined forces of the Heart Devil Kite and Demon General of Heart Shadow are merely on par with Lord Luo He. Yes, if it weren't for Lord Luo He blocking them, with the Heart Devil Kite and the Demon General of Heart Shadow bringing the Great Destruction Ultimate Formation to kill their way in, and leaving us to resist, that would have resulted in severe casualties. The eternal true gods all felt very fortunate." On the city walls of the city owner's mansion, Luo Feng and Morosa sat there leisurely sipping wine and observing the outside. So-called military confrontations are ultimately just cannon fodder on the land of origin. Luo Feng was well aware of this. In a conflict between two countries, the upper echelons would not easily descend to the battlefield, fearing it would escalate the situation drastically. Nowadays, earning 1 billion cosmic sand is already so difficult. To gain more resources, one must step into the primal chaos realm. Luo Feng mused, as an eternal true god, earning 1 billion cosmic sand was considered a miracle. But if he became a being of the primal chaos realm, hiring one for battle? 10 billion cosmic sand would seem too little. Beside him, Morosa somewhat puzzledly looked at Luo Feng. "Master, what are you thinking about?" "Thinking about when I can become a primal chaos realm being," Luo Feng whispered. "To ascend to the primal chaos realm within the law lineage is really uncertain about when it will happen. Just accumulate slowly," Morosa consoled his master. Morosa himself didn't feel the difficulty, having naturally advanced by just eating and drinking. Luo Feng glanced at Morosa and ignored him. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Deep beneath the city owner's mansion, Yuewu was familiarizing himself with the formations of Huyang City, with Yonghu guarding by his side. The strength of the Heart Shadow sect is formidable, but the battleship of the Flame Wind ancient country is somewhat clumsy, posing little threat. However, the Heart Devil Kite and the Divine General of Heart Shadow. "Without Luo He obstructing, we would not have won this battle," said Yuewu. "Indeed, Elder Heart's strength is close to mine. Once he controls the Heart Devil Kite, I too cannot overcome it," admitted Yonghu, "but Lord Luo He can take on 2 opponents by himself." "Your realm accumulation is too weak," Yuewu commented. "From what I see, Luo He's realm accumulation is no less than mine." Yonghu was astonished. "Brother, even the monarch believes you will certainly reach the primal chaos realm. Could it be that Luo He will also reach the primal chaos realm?" "Yes, he will also reach the primal chaos realm," Yuewu replied, "and unlike me, he has unlimited godly bodies. The formidable nature of a godly body will allow him to rapidly grow strong after becoming the primal chaos overlord. With some cultivation over time, he could rival the Marquis of Zhujiang. Unlimited godly bodies, in terms of the purity of divine power and the massive reserve brought about by their immense size, make the primal chaos realm of the unlimited godly bodies much more advantageous than the ordinary godly bodies primal chaos realm. You must seize the opportunity, while he is still an eternal true god, to form a good relationship with him," Yuewu advised, glancing at Yonghu. "In the future, brother, I will also be in the primal chaos realm, following you will be the same," Yonghu ingratiatingly smiled. After all, the monarch of Yu country held too high a status and did not care much for these eternal true God disciples. Yuewu was the only one in whom the monarch of Yu country seemed to show special interest. Yuewu smiled. Over the long years, senior brother Yong had been most attentive, doing many things for Yuewu. Although the other sect members also greatly respected Yuewu, none could lower themselves as much as Yong Hu. Yuewu also acknowledged Yong Hu's determination in cultivation. For resources, Yong Hu took on tasks across various regions of the Yu kingdom. In the future, if I can help senior brother, I will, Yuewu nodded and promised. Of course, the precondition was his breakthrough into the primal chaos realm. The monarch and other godly kings all said that Yuewu's accumulation was profound and that he was certain to reach the primal chaos realm. Yet I still haven't broken through. Is reaching the primal chaos realm of the law lineage really so difficult? Yuewu wondered, a trace of confusion in his eyes, but he immediately focused and delved into learning the Huyang city formation. At the Heart Shadow sect, the sect leader and 18 elders gathered, with Qiu Yi's divine power incarnation also appearing. We originally intended to use the city owner's mansion as bait to kill the array master. But what happened? We allowed the Marquis of Zhujiang's army to enter the city owner's mansion, and we couldn't even threaten that array master, an elder spoke up. The master of the Heart Shadow sect scanned the room, stating, this time, sparing no expense, the Marquis of Zhujiang brought in Yu Kingdom's foremost array master below the primal chaos realm, Yuewu, significantly enhancing the military formation's power, and within that military formation is also Luo He. Luo He's strength surpasses any eternal true god in the Yu Kingdom. He can withstand two opponents alone, the Heart Devil Kite and the Divine General of Heart Shadow. The master of the Heart Shadow sect shook his head. Our plan failed, and that was unavoidable. The room fell silent. Two sect-protecting treasures together were stopped by a single eternal true god. You all need not worry, they dare not engage us. They only want to escape into the city owner's mansion, the master of the Heart Shadow sect said, but by continually running away, they will be unable to govern Huyang City or the entire Zhujiang Primal Chaos Prefecture. Thus, they must face us in the ultimate showdown. Once we clash, we have the Flame-Wind Ancient Country's battleship, and whether in terms of formations or the elite level of eternal true gods, we surpass the Marquis of Zhujiang's army, the master of the Heart Shadow sect declared. The 18 elders and Qiu Yi concurred. After all, coming from the foundation of a godly king sect, their eternal true god disciples were generally much stronger than those under the Marquis of Zhujiang. The coordination within their formations held an advantage in all aspects. Elder Heartai, Brother Qiu Yi, once the final showdown begins, the two of you just need to tie down Luo He, the master of the Heart Shadow sect directed, just keep him busy. The rest of our disciples can then fully exert their strengths. Elder Heartai and Qiu Yi both nodded. There may be some casualties then, but as long as you tie down Luo He, the Marquis of Zhujiang's army's threat will be much weaker. We will surely prevail, the master of the Heart Shadow sect declared. Initially, Luo He had proposed an employment price of 2 billion cosmic sands. Marquis Liu Yin did not agree, but the Marquis of Zhujiang did. I don't know at what great cost, said another elder. It must not have been cheap. The Marquis of Zhujiang is certainly generous. The elders discussed. Let's not worry about these matters, and prepare for the final showdown, the master of the Heart Shadow sect said. Yes, the elders dispersed immediately. Elder Heartai and Qiu Yi did not rush to leave, they looked at the master of the Heart Shadow sect. After carefully thinking over the combat situation, it feels like Luo He dealt with it very easily. Even his servant Luo Sa didn't need to take action. The master of the Heart Shadow sect expressed his concern. The task for you two is important and not easy, to tie down Luo He. Elder Heartai and Qiu Yi both nodded. Both were extremely proud, but in previous engagements, indeed, the servant Luo Sa hadn't intervened. If you truly can't stop him, then don't force it. The master of the Heart Shadow sect's eyes flashed with a murderous intent. If he wants to kill our Heart Shadow sect disciples, then you two go and slaughter the eternal true gods under the Marquis of Zhujiang. In this war, we must win. All right. We understand, Elder Heartai and Qiu Yi both nodded. They soon left as well. The master of the Heart Shadow sect gazed into the distance, the fate of our Heart Shadow sect hinges on the two venerable ancestors. If the two ancestors make a breakthrough, as long as they don't fear the great Saint Yuan, our Heart Shadow sect will rise swiftly. If the two ancestors do not break through, and more disciples perish, the burden of maintaining the sect's operations will be lighter, allowing it to endure longer. The eyes of the master of the Heart Shadow sect were cold. Days passed one by one. Inside a pavilion atop the city owner's mansion's wall, Luo Feng was meditating in quietude, while Morosa was responsible for observing every movement outside. With his primal chaos realm strength, Morosa could detect any activity from the Heart Shadow sect. "Brother Luo He, I'm fully prepared here," a voice emerged beside Luo Feng's ear. Luo Feng opened his eyes. "The Marquis has agreed, we will launch the attack today," Yuewu continued via voice transmission. "Brother Luo He, any issues on your end?" "I can make my move at any time," Luo Feng responded. "Good." Yuewu highly valued Lord Luo He, partly because he believed Lord Luo He could also reach the primal chaos realm in the future, and partly because in this war, Lord Luo He was the critical factor. Luo Feng stood up, and Morosa immediately asked, "Are we taking action now?" "Just follow the plan we prepared, and coordinate well with me," Luo Feng said. "It's better for a sector beast at the primal chaos realm level to keep a low profile." "Don't worry, I'll coordinate well," Morosa said. Luo Feng's gaze pierced through the window to the outside world. The Grand Heart Shadow sector array that had once enveloped the entire primal chaos armor sector had been lifted. After the plan to capture the array master failed, the Heart Shadow sect tightened its headquarters defenses, becoming much more secure. Merely moments passed. The Marquis of Zhujiang's legion had already fully mobilized and was ready to engage, some filled with high fighting spirit while others visibly nervous and uneasy. Direct confrontation was likely to lead to many casualties, but as subordinates of the Marquis of Zhujiang, this was not the time to retreat. "It's a fight to the death." Gao Wuxue led a row of mechanical treasures, solemn in weight, his confidence somewhat bolstered upon spotting Lord Luo He at the forefront of the army. Suddenly, boom 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 tilde tilde tilde. The whole Huyang city seemed to come to life as one terrifying formation after another arose. Precisely 139 formations of varying strengths activated and coordinated with each other like a complete entity. As the formations erupted, bang bang bang. Some key nodes of the three Heart Shadow sector arrays set up previously blasted apart. Not good. The formation has been breached. The Heart Shadow sect disciples guarding the area exclaimed in shock as they too saw the dark array that once cloaked Huyang city dissipate, replaced by 139 interconnected formations. In different parts of the city, several Heart Shadow sect disciples were instantly bounded and rendered immobile by the formidable power of the formations. They were all transported through void shifting directly into the city owner's mansion, imprisoned within its dungeons. Yuewu's mastery in formations is truly beyond belief. At Heart Shadow sect headquarters, the sect leader and the 18 elders together with Qiu Yi looked up at the multicolored, numerous formations. The power of the formations somewhat alarmed them. "Prepare for battle," the master of the Heart Shadow sect commanded. Boom 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 tilde tilde tilde. A battleship from the flame-wind ancient country appeared, containing the majority of ordinary disciples within. Surrounding the ship were two terrifying large-scale formations, the Dark Prison World Array and the Great Destruction Ultimate Formation intermingled, within which one could vaguely see several super-large mechanical secret treasures. "Suppress!" From high above, the multicolored formation forcefully pressed down, the Dark Prison World Array bearing the brunt of this terrifying oppression. After the Huyang City formation erupted, it so strong, the eternal true gods within the Dark Prison World Array strained to resist, feeling overwhelmed and unable to divert their attention to cope with other foes. The Marquis Zhujiang's legion also flew out from the city owner's mansion, like a huge vortex of fire and water. The surface of the vortex was also covered with a layer of radiant light, carrying the might of Huyang City against its enemies. "Even if you've sought help, this battle will still be won by our Heart Shadow sect," the massive battleship charged first, slamming into the gigantic vortex of fire and water. Boom 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 tilde tilde tilde. Upon crashing into the vortex of fire and water, the advancing troops clearly saw Luo Feng and his servant at the front. "Stop Luo He!" Whoosh! Whoosh! A black flying creature and a black figure, incredibly swift, darted towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng casually swung the blood shadow knife in his hand, leaving a dazzling rainbow of light in the void, impeding both the Heart Devil Kite and the Divine General of Heart Shadow. Once they clashed, they immediately felt the disparity in techniques. After taking over the Divine General of Heart Shadow, my sheer power is not inferior to Luo He. However, when it comes to sophistication, I am far behind him, Jiu Yi thought privately, having only grasped 5 moves of Primal Chaos Realm techniques. Even with 2 against 1, Luo Feng handled them quite effortlessly. As his blade blocked them, Moroso whisked Luo Feng away, whooshing through the void into the dark prison world array. Luo, his servant, is adept at moving through the void. In the midst of all these formation collisions, he can still move through the void. Both armies were quite astonished. This episode is end here.